So any movie review eventually boils down to that one question: is the movie worth watching or not? So The Conjuring Last Rites is well worth a look, especially if you already love the franchise, if you can see it in a theater with an audience. It delivers the goods within the parameters of that specific franchise, but it doesn't try anything new. Please tell me in the comments, do you feel the same as me, that the recent 3 or even 5 years have seen such a rebirth of horror and a regeneration, like there is a new lease of life to the genre? I haven't experienced anything like this on my memory as a horror fan. I really would like to hear from you what kind of films worked for you. First of all, the question is it really scary? I'm a bit desensitized. From about 12, maybe 15 jump scares, maybe 3 landed with me and made me jump, gave me a jolt, and another 2 or 3 were close enough, and the rest just sort of fell flat. The audience around me in my row, they were jumping up, they were having a great time. Generally, the movie landed with the audience. Well, the house was packed, and I think people were having a really good time, and so was I. I'm so glad I came out to see it. Is it a stylish film? Absolutely. It's actually more stylish than anticipated. I mean, I can be very forgiving with horror films. As long as they're well put together, I will forgive a lazy story. I love the genre, first of all. I did not expect such a level of visual sophistication, such sumptuousness from Last Rites. I saw the trailer and it clicked with me, and which is why I ended up going to the theater, because something about the aesthetic was promising, but the trailer doesn't even give away anything. There is so much more in the film itself. The trailer is very modest. It undersells the movie. There is so much more. Even the first 2 or 3 minutes, the level of sophistication, the way the camera work and editing go hand in hand to bring into the world, is just great. Also, I love romantic films. I'm a big romantic at heart. So for me, the themes of kind of family and romance, I like the way they were treated in this film, even if it's very traditional. It's not very realistic, but as a romantic kind of way to escape the real world for a couple of hours. I like this idea of the Warrens shown as this couple in their autumn years, but they're still holding tight onto each other, and Ed has cultivated these sideburns and he's got a bit of a heart problem, but he can still sort of win table tennis, and Lorraine is this saintly woman. She's like so not of this world. It's incredible. I was afraid that this movie was going to kill the franchise, but no, it's just all it's doing is sending it into retirement and bringing out the next generation for a potential spin-off or expansion of whatever, which is to be expected if it's such a money-making film. I reckon this movie is going to make a ton of money, deservedly so. It's one of these franchises that even keep cinemas alive, so there are still theaters and everything, because if we lose out on such horror blockbusters, then that's it. It's just gonna all... When it comes to the actors, the first act, about the first 30 minutes of the film, gives all the actors a good chance to really bring their A game, and especially when it came to the younger members of the cast, I was blown away at how earnestly they tackled those simplistic roles. I mean, it's not a super deep or rich or layered script or anything. It's a generic horror script, but it's being treated with such seriousness by each member of the cast, which in the 90s this would never have happened. In the 90s this would have been second and third rate actors acting with a bit of a smirk at the material, whereas here we have a strong sense of like they're taking this very, very seriously, and in the close-ups you can tell they're not faking it or anything, which is a great sign that the horror has reached a new level. Even though after the setup, after the first 30 minutes, there is less room for actors to really express themselves. It just becomes about looking freaked out and going from room to room and chanting, But some reviewers like criticizing the director Michael Chavez about him not being a true horror director but being more of a normal movie director. But I didn't mind that. I actually like it when the story takes its time and sets up the universe, sets up the characters. That felt a bit like a Stephen King approach to, first get to know the people, then unleash the horror on them, and that works totally really lovely in The Conjuring. The editing and the visuals are kind of covered. Things I was less excited about was the music. The music was the kind of generic screeching strings and things, so just the usual horror music, totally forgettable. But there were 1 or 2 80s pieces on the soundtrack which were cool. It was like David Bowie and The Cult. There is reference to The Goonies. I'm a 90s kid, but I'm so susceptible to 80s nostalgia, and to me the movie felt quite authentic. It doesn't pretend to be a fake 80s film. It's clearly of our time, some crazy CGI here and there, but there were also a few zooms, and they were nice and steady zooms which had their place. They weren't there to reference the period, they were there to generate a certain kind of tension and to draw our attention to a certain portion of the frame. So generally for the use of the film language, exploitation of the film frame and the sound, I would give this movie 5 stars out of 5. Despite its generic script, despite its kind of conservative message where it's basically an ex-policeman, a family man and a clergyman, all three of them Caucasian, go and battle evil. With what? With family values and with Christian, with the crucifix. Okay, nothing groundbreaking here, but it also didn't feel offensive, it didn't feel like repressive, so I had a good time watching this film, even though the story was playing it safe. It doesn't ever pull the rug from underneath you. Like each jump scare is also kind of, there is like a sound cue or something getting you set up for it, getting you primed for it, so it almost felt like comfort viewing for me, just recognizing the usual horror language. But it felt good being there in the theater with the audience. I definitely enjoyed the couple of hours being with complete strangers in the darkness and that screaming and the screeching. So it felt good coming out and seeing it like this, because I don't think it would have the same power via streaming, where you, unless you have like 7.1 surround at home and a huge screen. I think the film is made, this particular film is made for the big screen. When it comes to things I like less, I mentioned the music, but there was also a tacked on epilogue. The last 2 minutes after the battle with the evil has been, concluded. It's almost, if you remember the movie Armageddon, they also had like multiple endings tacked on after the meteorite has been destroyed, because they had to wrap up all the individual characters, so they would give them small vignettes. So this movie, there is a moment they are closing the door and they should have rolled the credits there, but they don't. Then they add like a post scene which just wraps up the Warrens. It didn't drive me mad or anything, but it definitely didn't need to be there. Everything else though, generally, I'm glad I watched it, and I'd love to hear, if you saw it, I'd like to hear your thoughts also. I know the story reasonably well of the original Smurl case, so I felt that family, the Smurls, they were, especially Janet, could have been presented a bit more positively. I didn't expect them to be faithful, because there isn't really that much factual evidence which we can say, oh, this is true to the facts or not. So it does a good job in building a fantasy, possession horror around a documented real supernatural haunting case. So that was cool. Like there is that moment levitating and he's kind of in sleep paralysis, so I like the technically how they pulled that one off. There was a little bit of CGI, but it wasn't abusive. Like I didn't mind them repainting the backgrounds to make like Pennsylvania and London. That was fine. And a few times if you see a monster crawling on the ceiling, okay, yeah, CGI is obviously a cost-effective solution to that, but generally it had that lovely period, slightly sepia look in the indoor scenes, and generally the colors were just amazing. For me, as a lover of style over substance, the Conjuring Last Rites work. So please leave me a comment. What did you think about this movie? How does it compare, in your opinion, to the other films in the Conjuring universe? Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe to my channel.